Good afternoon. We are coming to you from the lovely offices of the Student Engagement in the Plaster Student Union on our lovely campus. I'm going to let our two speakers introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with some questions. Tara, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm Tara Benson. I'm the Associate Director of the Plaster Student Union and Director of Student Engagement.
Hi, I'm LaShata Grayson. I'm Assistant Director of Involvement here at Missouri State University.
Wonderful. We're so glad to have y'all with us. So let's start with LaShata. You have not been here very long, I don't believe, have you?
No, 3 months. 3 months.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Sure. So I primarily work over fraternity and sorority life. I advise panel and council, our Latino multicultural organization, Sigma Lambda Gamma, and culturally based organizations in National Panel and Council. I do a lot of programmatic areas. I supervise staff and just oversee the community and making sure things are in the right way as it relates, especially now, COVID. Making sure that they're having a great student experience, making sure they're getting leadership development, making sure that we're retaining our students and having a great experience at Missouri State.
We're very glad to have you with us. Tara, why don't you tell us about your time at Missouri State, how long you've been here, and what you do?
Sure. I've been here a lot longer, 13 years. I've been in this office for that entire time, although in a different position before this one. So as the Associate Director of the union, I help with general operations of the union, as far as filling in when needed when the director is out, or doing some special programming related to the Plaster Student Union and keeping assessment rolling and making sure that staff understand how to do assessment and improvement of programs. And then as my Director of Student Engagement title, I help oversee the office that helps students connect to their co-curricular communities. And that is usually through our ways of fraternity and sorority life, joining student organizations, campus programming, which includes Student Activities Council and Traditions Council, and leadership development, which includes our Emerging Leaders Program and Centennial Leaders Program.
Wonderful. Can y'all tell me, Tara, we'll start with you. Why is it so important that our students get involved on campus?
Sure. So there's a number of reasons why. Number one, it helps the students make Missouri State feel like they're home. They're coming from possibly, a number of years with the same group of people and having friends and being very comfortable, and they're being dropped into a new environment, and you want to be around people that you like being around. So number one, it helps you make your home. Number two, it helps students stay in school longer. When there's a great academic program such as what we have at Missouri State and a great outside the classroom program, then the students tend to do better academically, and they tend to stay in school longer and persist to graduation when they have both of those communities there to support them. It gives students a way to practice time management and learn how to deal with conflict and some of those other skill sets that may not be taught in the classroom always. We like to say that you learn what you learn in the classroom, and then you get to practice it outside the classroom in a number of different ways. And then last, it's fun. A lot of these things that we do are fun. They're educational, they're meaningful, and all of those things, but there's definitely a social component that is generally involved as well.
Thank you. LaShata, can you tell us a little bit about the fraternity and sorority life community at Missouri State?
Sure. So fraternity and sorority life community, we have 32 chapters. We have primarily 3 councils broken up. We have our interfraternity council, we have panel and council, which is 8 sororities. Interfraternity council has 18 chapters, and we have our national panel and council, which have 5 sororities and fraternities, and one, as I say, multicultural organization, Sigma Lambda Gamma. So big community. We're at 3,000 close strong. It's a lot of students. We have fraternity sorority life housing. We have our plots on campus for our culturally based organizations. So we have different layers and areas of representation, but also making them feel like they matter and they have a home here.
Thank you. Tara, tell us a little bit. You mentioned a co-curricular activities. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. So often what we refer to academic classes as curricular in nature, because there's typically a curriculum that's developed and all students follow that curriculum when they take that course. And what we call co-curricular means that this is something in addition to what that curriculum is that you're learning in your classes, and this is what you're doing when you're outside the classroom. A lot of people like to refer to it as extracurricular, and we don't like that term as much because it makes it sound like it's something you can kind of do if you want to, or do or not do. But we like to say it goes hand in hand with the curriculum that's going on in the classroom.
And can a student use their involvement on campus on their resumes or that kind of thing? So does it go on and help them as they get ready for a career?
Yes, absolutely. We encourage students in the Career Center, definitely help students put into words what their student organizations have meant to them and how employers might benefit from their involvement in various student organizations.
Thank you. How does a student go about getting involved on campus? Either one of you that want to answer that one?
LaShata can kick us off.
So getting involved on campus as it relates to fraternity and sorority life, it's quite simple. All you have to do is literally show up. So we have so many different aspects of what showing up looks like. So for our culturally based groups, that could be showing up for a program that they host, or showing up to an informational to learn more, to say like, hey, this is intriguing to me. And then for IFC and Panhellenic, they have recruitment, formal recruitment, where we're going to meet you where you're at. All you have to do is come. It is initially a fee, of course, but with all of our fraternity and sorority organizations, showing up is the first step. Showing up to say like, hey, I want to learn more. Hey, I need friends. Hey, I am just intrigued on the history, the historical content behind the organizations. That's one of the biggest things. And then after showing up is finding a place that fits for you, because we have so many options. I tell people we all have choices, and we want to make sure that you select the best choice, but also you select the choice within our community.
Thank you. Tara?
So there's, there are a lot of options on campus, and even beyond student organizations, fraternity, sorority life programming, there's options as far as being an intern, getting involved in campus recreation and intramurals, and working out and getting a job, or, just different things like that. So I would say what I advise students who are looking to enhance their college career to look at something they're used to doing, so something they're comfortable and familiar with, whatever that is. Look at something brand new that they never thought that they would do, that would scare them a little bit, or just something that excites them, and then do something related to their major. We have a number of different student organizations and activities that are related to an academic major, and the importance of that is not only learning those skill sets that employers are looking for, but it's also great networking, and it's never too soon to start that networking and understanding how important networking is. And often those students who are involved in those organizations tied to majors meet faculty in a different place. They get research opportunities. They may be connected to an employer who comes to speak, and major benefits such as that.
That's fabulous. I believe y'all had a program called Pick One. Do y'all still have that program? And can you tell us a little about that?
We do. With SOAR changing up a little bit this summer, we weren't able to get the buttons and some things out that we normally would do, but hopefully in the future we'll be able to do that. And that is a campaign where we encourage students to pick one thing that they want to get involved with, whether that's fraternity and sorority life, leadership, programming, intramurals, religious organizations, et cetera, et cetera. And when they commit to that, they receive a button that they can put on their backpack or whatever, and people can kind of see what they're mostly interested in. And sometimes they may say, hey, what group did you join? Or what are you interested in? We do have a number of student organization fairs that happen at the beginning of each semester. And so sometimes that will naturally start a conversation. And then we followed up with students after their first year to find out if they actually did join the organization that they thought that they would, and overall they do. So something is definitely making a good connection there for our students.
That's fantastic. So I know that our leadership programs are located in the Office of Student Engagement. Can y'all tell me a little bit about those and how does a freshman or a sophomore get involved with them?
Sure. So Centennial Leaders is a scholarship program that students apply and are accepted to during their senior year. And so they participate in that in their starting their first year at Missouri State. They go through a 5-week leadership development program. We actually have our last session today, and we're going over to Timmons Hall to learn a little bit more about the history of Springfield and the growth of the African American community in particular. So we're really excited about that. There's going to be a living history where some people are portraying major influencers of Springfield. So we're really excited about that. And then we have Emerging Leaders, which is a program designed for first and second year students to learn a little bit more about themselves as a leader on campus, to network and make connections with other students, and then take usually a personality test to learn a little bit more about how they deal with conflict and things like that. Those applications come out in the fall. They're actually live right now. But we encourage all students who are interested in being organization leaders or a leader in their academic field to get involved with that program.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Traditions Council?
Sure. So Traditions Council was a group created to enhance and preserve athletic pride and tradition on campus. It started a few years back. It's actually one of our newer programs. And students are funding the program every year to be sure to keep it going. And so those students who are selected for the executive board come up with different programs to help talk about tradition and keep tradition alive. So one of those things that they do is the Traditions Bearer app. There are 60 different traditions that students can earn while they're on campus in various check-in times where they'll get different prizes along the way and things like that. And then they get a special recognition award when they graduate. And that helps them, of course, be proud to be Bears and be able to talk about their alma mater moving forward, and to also help new students understand what it means to be a Bear. And then they also do a number of different things, tailgates at various athletic events, giveaways for students so we can make sure that Missouri State and Bearwear is plastered everywhere at all times. And then one of probably their most successful emerging traditions that they have is Fountain Day, where the fountain is turned on for the spring. That's near the library. And students can actually get into the fountain. They're not supposed to otherwise. I won't say whether or not that happens sometimes, but they actually can sit on the ledge and get into the fountain a little bit. They can take a little bit of the fountain water home, and they just have a really good time. There's t-shirts and just a lot of fun things that happen there at Fountain Day.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. LaShata, you mentioned a little bit ago about working around COVID. How are y'all in the Office of Student Engagement, an office that's, tries to get people to meet each other and to know each other? How are y'all handling the pandemic so that our students are still getting a good experience?
Yes, that's a great question. The first thing that came to my mind is teaching our students the human connection piece. Just because it's virtual, you still can make a connection. It's just different. So a lot of us, a lot of our programs in the Office of Student Engagement, we have a virtual option, but we also have in person as it relates to booking with event services. They're really good as far as accommodating and also making sure that we're within CDC guidelines, maximizing how many students could be in a room. Are they wearing masks? Just me personally, I'm really working with students on which one is the choice as far as have in person versus virtual. And we always got to accommodate. We have to make sure that even if it's in person, we still have a virtual outlet for the program and making it look a little different. Things are different, but they still could happen. So like we're still having programs, we're still making sure it's so many, like our calendar is crazy. It's opportunity after opportunity virtual Zoom, even homecoming. I think this office has did a great job at making sure students still feel connected to the institution. Homecoming was just one product of this is amazing. We have our FSL students participating in that. They had on masks. It looked different. It wasn't as packed as it normally is, but we have a Zoom option. We had a lot of virtual program aspects to it. Just looks different, but the opportunities are still available.
Yeah, homecoming was a lot of fun. It was great. All the things they did. I bet they all took a long nap on Sunday, this past Sunday. Tara, can you tell us a little bit about the Student Activities Council?
Sure. So Student Activities Council is the premier programming board on campus funded by student involvement fee. And they have an executive board of students who present different ideas using a committee model. They have a number of different committees such as after hours, public affairs, films, lectures, live events, which includes comedians and concerts. And they just find ways to engage with students in a fun and educational way. A few of the different things that they have done, most recently, they're still holding films every other week in our theater here in the Union. They have hosted 3 comedian and comedy shows, both online via Zoom, and also an option where people could come together and watch the Zoom together in a theater. They have done a really great job pivoting to this new way of doing things. They required masks even before that was a mandate for the campus, and so they were very prepared to still have programming and still make sure that students had things to do and making their experience the best that it could be for this fall.
Oh, that's fantastic. Tara, you work in the Office of Student Engagement, and you work in the field of student affairs. A lot of times people don't know what student affairs is. LaShata and I both work in student affairs too. Can you talk a little bit about a career in student affairs?
Sure. So most of the time people don't understand that student affairs exist until they're in college probably and are involved in some manner or start working with an orientation program or join a fraternity or sorority or are an RA or something like that, and they see a professional staff member who's working and they say, wait a second, this is your job, and how do I get to do that job? So I don't know everyone's stories, but I would say that's typically usually how it would go. And then you kind of ask, how do I get to do that? And for many people, they're surprised to learn that most of the time you have to have a master's degree to work in a college in student affairs, at least in the programming side. We have a number of different departments in student affairs, so this doesn't apply to everyone. But if you're wanting to work with students in a programmatic way, a lot of times you do have to have a master's degree. And so for me, I was overly involved in college. I majored in involvement because my actual grade point average was not great. So, but it came out okay in the end. But we, I talked to my supervisor and she said, I went to Central Missouri and got my master's, and I thought, oh, really, a master's? But she, set me up and helped me get an assistantship, and I moved on from there. And I think my story is like a lot of other people's stories that they connect with a mentor of some sort. They help them pick out a graduate program and get them ready to take an assistantship, so that way, again, you're learning the practical theory in your classes, and then you're applying that theory when you're outside the classroom, and then hopefully you're making some great connections along the way and setting yourself up for success and getting the job that you want for the rest of your life.
Perfect. LaShata, so you've been here 3 months. So what has been your favorite thing so far about Missouri State or Springfield?
Oh, hands down, Carrie's tie ties. Like, we go and get these tie ties. They're so good. I can't even get it out. They're so good. So Tara and Paige, the coordinator that works with student activities, we go Tuesdays and Thursdays and get tie tots, which is Carrie's, I believe, in the building right not too far from here, and it's student workers, all student based off. I believe Tara told me it's culinary arts, like they're getting credit for it, and they make the food. And I just love the tater tots. They're so good. Homecoming was a blast too. Like just seeing the aspect, even though it was different, I enjoyed just the many aspects of it. And just the bear pride. I've been at many campuses, just my undergrad, my master's, and just that school pride. Just seeing like they love the Bears. I think that's one of the things where it's just like they're excited to be here. So yeah, but definitely the ties.
Wonderful. I like them too. So what advice would y'all give to a family member that's trying to help their student step out of their comfort zone and become involved?
So me personally, if a family member is like, "Hey, I want you to get involved," getting involved is basically figuring out things about yourself. That's why I would start off saying you're learning more about yourself as it relates to you getting developed in the classroom. So I would say first talk to them and view the website on different options. Find out what they like and what they don't like, and tell them to take a chance. That's the biggest thing because you're taking a chance that will impact you. I took a chance on being involved in a sorority, and look at me now. I'm advising students. I'm coaching people to make better choices and to be their best selves, all because I was a part of a student organization and I was in a sorority. I found out things about myself I never knew. So if you go in telling them, hey, you want to learn something about yourself you didn't know, you want to get developed, you have issues with, hey, talking in front of crowds or all these different type of things, you might need to be a part of a student organization or you might need to be a part of fraternity and sorority. I think it's those nuggets and those things, people that have kids just saying like, I want them to be their best self. So I think this is going to push you to that next level.
Thank you. So, Tara, what advice do you have for a student that's looking to get involved?
Yeah, I think just taking advantage of everything that is offered to you. I think it's trying to figure out what you're looking for and making sure that, it's something that is exciting to you, that you have a passion for, that you have time for, that you have money for, if it costs things, or, just options like that. But I think it's, this is the time to figure that out. And I think people get nervous because they think, oh, what happens if I don't like it? And I'm like, nobody's going to remember. You just leave and like you don't go back. So out of 350 student organizations, for you to say like, not my thing, moving on, not a big deal. So that's what I say. And then if students are having some trouble finding connections, we always offer to meet with them for engagement coaching sessions and just talk about, kind of narrow down some options, because seeing all of those different options listed can be overwhelming, for someone to kind of say like, there's like 700 options. How do I find one that's going to matter? So we can talk through that and just by learning a little bit more about the student and their goals and their needs. And like LaShata was saying, how they want to be their best selves, then we can at least point them into some directions that could be beneficial to them, or just teach them some things that maybe they don't know about. It's really hard to get all that information out to students right now because they're getting it from everywhere. And so, we have to sell the story and tell the story in a way that matters to them. So sometimes the best way to do that is through that one-on-one or small group interaction.
Perfect. One more question for you, Tara. What is your favorite tradition at Missouri State?
My favorite tradition would have to be Bear Bash, held usually on the Saturday before classes begin. We were unable to do that this year, but hopefully next year we'll figure out a way to make that come back. But it usually just brought the whole campus back together, returning students and new students. We have a little party out on the North Mall outside the Plaster Student Union, and then we do a countdown, and we have a ton of different activities that go on here in the union. And if you want to see somebody or haven't seen somebody since summer, then that's where you're going to see them for the first time. And there's just this huge sense of spirit and tradition and pride that LaShata was talking about. And students are just so ready to be back, and the weather's usually nice, and it's just a lot of fun.
Well, thank you very much for taking y'all's time out of your day to talk to us. We appreciate it. And we're going to say goodbye now. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.